Hey guys, welcome back to Podcast of the Day. And today we are joined by Carys Webster. She is of CrossFit in the UK fame after she won the first event at Strength and Depth, which was the coolest thing I think we've ever seen. And she's been working with Red Bull ever since. So we thought it would be a good idea to have a little sit down and see what all of her ambitions are for the upcoming year. Plus, you're one of these athletes who not only are you really nearing the top of your game, but you're also working a full-time job in the medical profession during COVID-19.
Yeah, it's been a busy time. So I'm working part-time at the moment, which is much better than it was. So I've been working part-time for about just over a year now, whilst training, which makes it much easier, as it was a little bit of a struggle before then to fit in training around work. But yeah, it's not been the best year with COVID working. I work in intensive care, so it's been pretty horrible at times. But yeah, we're hopefully getting through it. Hopefully vaccine and things will be better next year.
I really hope things are better. I think everyone hopes things are better. So we always start every kind of podcast with the same question. How did CrossFit come into your life? Because it's different for everyone.
Yeah. So my aunt actually does CrossFit. And that was how I first heard of it. And then I moved house because of work. So I moved to Hammersmith. This is in like the end of 2015. And CrossFit Hammersmith was literally 5 minutes from my house, just around the corner. So my aunt had made it sound fun. So I figured I'd give it a go. So yeah, I went along and basically got hooked straight away and have been doing it ever since.
What sport were you doing before? Or was it just a case of you needed a gym and someone to
Yeah,
gym?
So I played netball. I played netball all through uni, and then I joined a club like near where I lived, and then was going to just like normal gym, kind of HIIT classes, that kind of thing. But yeah, nothing super competitive. And then yeah, I just needed a gym. Got a bit bored of doing the HIIT and wanted something a bit different.
Because you say 2015, that's only, 5 years ago or so? So how in those 5 years did you go from just wanting something a bit more to hit to being like, oh my God, I'm actually quite good at this and I could actually compete in this?
Yeah, I think it happened quite gradually. Because like when I started, I wasn't particularly good. Like I've always had quite a good engine. So I guess like kind of long cardio, that kind of stuff has always come a bit easier. But the strength stuff, like the gymnastics particularly, I was terrible at the beginning. Couldn't do a pull-up, like had never picked up a barbell. So yeah, I started off doing the classes and then kind of jumped in on like local competitions. They had the London box battles at that time.
That's how I started in London too.
So that kind of, I don't know, yeah, maybe gave me the like competitive fire that it could be something that I really enjoyed. And then, yeah, went on from there really. Started doing, I think the Battle of Britain was my first like, you had to qualify for it competition, and I qualified in last place.
What year was that Battle of Britain?
Probably 2018 or 17 or 18, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, 60 people qualified and I qualified in 60th.
Love it.
And then, yeah, from there just kept going, really. Yeah.
I want to know, qualified in 60th? Where did you finish?
Oh, I think I finished maybe 30th, around there, so definitely better than us.
So
better
strong.
than I qualified.
That's not bad as well for your first qualifier competition.
Yeah,
I'd been dead chuffed with that.
Yeah, no, I was really happy.
And where was your medical career then at that point when you started getting into the competitive scene of CrossFit?
So I qualified as a doctor in 2014. So I worked full time since then up until 2019. So we do like 2 years of foundation training where you go through 6 different jobs and then you pick your specialty. So I picked anaesthetics. So I worked in ITU for a year and then 2 years of anaesthetics. And then you kind of come to a point where you then apply for the next stage of training, which is a natural break because then you have to go to interview and stuff anyway. So I decided at that time that I would take a bit of time out of the kind of formal training scheme work part-time and see how I could get on in CrossFit for a couple of years and see how that goes.
That's a massive decision to make.
Yeah, I think it had been coming for a little while, because at that point, like, I'd competed at the first year of Sanctionals at SID in 2019, and I'd done quite well. I think I was like 17th that year. So yeah, I was working my way up, and I knew that if I wanted to take that next step to be more competitive in Sanctionals, I couldn't do it whilst I was working full time. Like, there's just not enough time in the day. And most other athletes are full-time athletes or coaches, so they're in the gym the whole day. So I needed some extra time.
What's so interesting about that is it took that SID Sanctionals where you placed top 20 for you to take a step back from work. So you actually got to that point balancing a doctor job and training.
Yeah, I did.
How? Tell us. Tell us your secrets.
I mean, I think like obsessive organization is probably the most important thing. Yeah, I think just time management, like you plan your day ahead, you make sure you've got your gym kit ready for the next day. So, straight after work, you're going to go straight to the gym. You've got everything with you. You've got your food sorted. Yeah, I think I'm a very organized person, and I think that really does help. And good coaching. I was with Warrior Programming at the time. So they have a lot of intensity in their training program. So that was, got me really fit for then. And so
I'm only mostly amazed because I know the hours that my folks are both doctors, and I know the hours that they used to do, not quite intensive care, but like, how did you manage to switch, like mentally go from, I'm getting up this morning, right now I train, switch intensive care, finish intensive care duties, which is probably horrendous, switch, I've got to train again.
Like, I think it's, I don't know if it's a learnt skill, but I think it's something that you get used to. I think it's really nice actually to have that complete switch off. So even if I'd had a horrible day at work, I could get to the gym or whatever. No one would know anything about my day, and I could just completely focus on something else. So I think it's quite a good form of stress relief for me, is just to have that something completely separate, that I don't have to talk about work. I don't have to talk about whatever happened. I can just think about lifting heavy weights or whatever. I think it's really nice.
Because we spoke to Liv about kind of a really similar subject, and she drew a lot of inspiration from her job into her training. Do you find that similar?
I mean, I guess in some way, like you see, especially when patients have been on intensive care for a long time, they get really kind of deconditioned, and just the smallest of tasks are really difficult. So I think maybe it really does make you appreciate like what the human body can do, and it makes you appreciate that you've still got your health and you can go out and do this, you can do all this exercise and everything, and I think it does make you kind of grateful for that.
What's it been like the last half a year?
Yeah, not great. We were pretty badly hit the first wave. So where I work, normally we have 52 intensive care and high dependency unit beds. During the first wave, we had to increase up to 80 ventilated patients, which basically just meant putting beds in between bed spaces, which was, it's not nice. It just meant nobody had any privacy, because like the beds were where the curtains are meant to go, so you couldn't draw curtains around patients, and there wasn't enough equipment, and people couldn't see their families. And I think that was probably the worst, because before COVID, obviously, the intensive care visiting hours are normally really good. So families can come in like a couple of hours in the morning before work, and then they can come in from like 2:00 till 9:00 or something like that in the evening. But we weren't allowed any visitors at all unless someone was end of life. So it meant that every day we had to phone everyone's families, and every day you're basically giving bad news over the phone. Like, there's an occasional patient where it's good news, but mostly it's like 5 or 6 phone calls a day to people telling them that their relative isn't doing very well. So I think that was probably the hardest. It was okay over summer. We had probably a couple of months where we didn't have any COVID patients. And then, the last few months it's got bad again. It's not as bad as it was. But like yesterday, I was transferring patients to other hospitals because we were short on beds again. So hopefully things will get better soon. I think we're all a bit fed up of it, to be honest. But hopefully
vaccine's
coming this week. So
are you optimistic about the vaccine?
I'm very optimistic. I think hopefully, I think over 80s and NHS workers are going to be the first ones. So fingers crossed, and then hopefully government is saying by spring next year things will start to be a bit more back to normal. So I really hope so.
I think everyone, I mean, you obviously more than most, but everyone can't wait to see this horrific year gone.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's funny because we forget that at the beginning of the year there was some competitions and good stuff, and then
I can't believe we did strength and depth.
I know,
that was mind blowing.
I can't believe that was in January. It seems like years ago.
So many years ago.
But next year will be good.
How much did it take a toll on your training this year?
I think it was good to have that switch off. So obviously during the first lockdown, or during the first wave, we were in lockdown. So I'd come home, train outside, but it was really nice in the summer. Got a great tan. So, I think it was actually really nice to have that, because otherwise in lockdown I would have just been sat at home thinking about it, thinking about work. So I think it was a really good thing that I had something to take my mind off it, and my coach is aware of what I was doing, and so I think it was nice to have that alternative to just thinking about work. This lockdown it was a bit harder because it's very cold outside.
It is freezing. It's 3 degrees when I drove up here today.
So that was less fun, training in the garden this time, but it was only 4 weeks, so not too bad. And now we're back in gyms, so woo, it's all good.
And actually, while we're speaking of gyms, thank you very much to the Wick CrossFit in Hackney Wick, which is just opened, who are hosting us today.
Yeah.
So if you are in the area, the Stratford area, make sure you come down and check it out because it's utterly beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And it's heated. All the important things. Okay, so let's talk about your relationship with your coaches. Is it Phil Mansfield who's directly responsible for your coaching?
Yeah.
Fab. And Red Pill Training, people who aren't as across the training programs as perhaps us Norses, like myself. Red Pill kind of burst into the scene a couple of years ago because they coach Sam Briggs, they coach Emma McQuaid. I think they helped out with the Simmonses in some capacity.
Yeah, Joust coaches Elliot,
There we go. So they know what they're doing. So what made you move to Red Pill initially?
So it was after the 2019 SID. I just felt I needed something a bit more, personalised. I needed something. I have quite specific weaknesses, like my gymnastics has always been my weakness, and squat strength. I have very long legs, and that doesn't go well for squatting. So I needed someone who could really help me focus on those in order to kind of move on to the next level. And then, I did a bit of research, emailed a few people. I'd listened to their podcast, and I really liked the fact that their approach was very science-based, very evidence-based. They had a lot of experience in different
sports.
Feeds
in with the doctor
Exactly,
thing.
Yeah. I mean, I love a bit of evidence. So, I sent them an email, spoke to Phil on the phone. That was actually during the first open last year, because we had 2 opens, and I actually ruptured my ankle ligaments during the last workout of the open. Then Phil helped me with rehab from that.
I was going to say, actually, to have someone jump in at that point was probably perfect timing that you'd chosen Red Pill and it was then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they know exactly how to deal with those kind of injuries and how to get the best out of you.
That was really useful. And then, so I've been working with him since then. So it's like a year and a half now.
What are the biggest differences you've seen in yourself since working with them?
So a lot, my gymnastics has improved massively. We do a lot of core work. So turns out I have a very weak core. I mean, that's the other great thing about Red Bull. They do these movement assessments when you go and see your coach, and they just pick up like things that you'd never even realized before. So yeah, like the first probably 6 months I was doing core stuff like 3 times a week. So yeah, massive improvements in my gymnastics, massive improvements in my squat. So yeah, I think those are the biggest things. And we do a lot of, like on camps and stuff, a lot of mindset work, how to plan workouts, how to approach a workout in a competition, which is stuff that I'd never really like focused on before. So I think that's really important and has helped a lot.
What's your structure in the week?
It's very variable. So I work 2 days a week normally, so 2 long days. So I don't train on those days because they're like 13-hour shifts. So then I train 5 days, double sessions, and it's a real mix of depending on kind of what time in the season it is, depends on what we're focusing on.
So I did see that you went out and had a big camp recently with the guys. It was meant to be abroad?
Yeah, so Phil lives in Denmark. So we went to Denmark, and then 2 days later, Denmark got added to the quarantine list. So we came back from Denmark very promptly. And the like British lot, we all went up to Manchester. So we trained with Jouse up at CrossFit 3D. So that was really nice.
Tell me about the camp in general. What was the kind of purpose and what you're hoping to achieve?
So I think originally it was going to be an open camp when we weren't sure if the open was going to be in October. So that's why it was planned for then. But then obviously the open got postponed to March or February. So it was kind of, it was a real mix actually. We did one really, really long workout. It was 100 kilometers on the C2 bike into, was it 1.5 kilometer run?
It was so horrible, you've wiped it from your mind.
Yeah, something like that. Some running and some lunges and some more running. But it took like 4 hours. So it was actually really nice to do it with other people. Like, it would have been horrible doing it by yourself. But it was me, Kelly Baker, Kelly Marshall, and Jouse joined in as well. So there were 4 of us doing it in Barnsley. And it was a good day. And then we went to Ninja Warrior the next day. So
how good are you in Ninja Warrior?
It was so hard. Like, I don't know how they do it. Like sprinting, we were doing one obstacle at a time and then having a rest. I have no idea. Their like grip strength must be insane. But it was really fun.
So newfound appreciation for anyone who's managed Ninja Warrior.
Absolutely, 100%.
How important is it though that those camps are as much about fun and memories as they are actually about the training?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like those are the things you're all kind of encouraging each other or like cheering each other on, and it's really nice to have that push as well, because I think normally I do train by myself here, and having that push and knowing where you need to push, how you compare to others, it's just, it's really important.
I guess as well, having a group of people together who are all similar standards, because when you're an outlier like you are in the area, you know, how do you know how good you are if you've not got those people around you to compete against?
Yeah, it's true. And to be honest, that's almost like one of the hardest things about this year is since like I last competed in Norway in February, and since then all you have is Instagram to look at, and like obviously Instagram is a terrible like representation of real life because everyone only posts stuff that they're good at. Exactly.
The good side.
Yeah, I think like during the first lockdown I actually had to delete Instagram for I think it was like 3 weeks or something, just because I found it was making me more stressed than it was making me like happy or excited. Yeah. So I'm excited for the open and for competition, just so I can have any kind of vague idea of how I'm doing, like, because I have no idea at the moment. No idea.
Mind you, I guess if you take like kind of the Matt Fraser kind of ideology, it's all a fight against yourself at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah, that's very true. You can only it's all you
Lockdown's
against
just
you.
honing in on Matt Fraserness. Great.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's going to have really like worked on their mental game during lockdown. Just to be training through it, I think you have to be pretty tough mentally. So
Because you said you work with that with Joust and with Phil Mansfield. Anyway, like, what do you physically do to enhance your mental game when you approach like big workouts like the Open, like Sanctionals?
So I think for approaching workouts, what we focus on is just having a system. So, and it's like anything, like practicing it makes it better. So we have like a system of how you look at a workout, deciding what points of the workout you're going to focus on, where you're going to push, where you need to maybe hold back or pace more. And then if you do that, so Phil tries to get me to do it. We have like competition days sometimes where he just sends me the workouts in the morning. So normally I get my program like a few days in advance. But on the competition days, like I'll text him in the morning, be like, can I have my workouts? And he sends them to me like throughout the day. And then I think that's a really good way of practicing it, because it's just like on a competition day where you might not find out until 10 minutes before. So I think it's just about getting used to those things and then always having your way of writing them down, working through them, knowing exactly what you're going to do. And then when you get out on the floor and the adrenaline's there and the stress is there, you've done it before. So it's not so stressful.
I was actually literally just about to ask that question. That's all good in training, but when you're faced with strength and depth and you're looking to your left, you've got Hayley Adams, and you're looking to your right and you've got, Gabriella Magala, and you're going, oh my gosh, like how do you keep yourself, I don't know, how do you block all of the noise out and focus on what you need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really. It's not something I do consciously, but when I'm in a competition, it's even when I'm in a workout like here, everything kind of turns off. Like sometimes when I watch myself back on video, I'm like, oh, I had no idea that song was playing. Like, because I don't hear anything or I don't see anything, or like during Sid, my mum's like, oh, did you see me? Like I was waving. Did you hear me shout? I'm like, literally no.
Sorry.
Couldn't I don't know. I just kind of go into that like focused zone. Yeah, I don't know, the zone. You do. I mean, obviously there's times where you mess up and stuff goes wrong and you have to kind of pull yourself back together. But I think I don't find it difficult to kind of get into that headspace, I think. Although I did find during Sid, because I was in that headspace, at the beginning, I kind of forgot to like soak it all in, and then it was only by like the last day where I like let myself enjoy myself, I think, a bit more. So like the end of the workout, I was like celebrating, and I was like saying hi to people in the crowd once I finished and stuff like that. And I think that was a really like good lesson to learn, is that now we know that these competitions don't happen very often. Like anything can happen. You can have a year where you don't have any competitions. So I think next time I'm out on the floor, I'm going to really try and appreciate it and make sure I do like soak it all in.
I think that's really important as well. And I think that's something that comes with kind of experience at that level. The more you do, the more relaxed into it you'll get, and the less kind of blinkered. What was your sanctional season like before it all got absolutely knocked on the head?
So I qualified for Sid and Norway through the Open. So I came 9th in Sid, which I was really happy with, like first ever top 10 in a Sanctional. So I was really pleased with that, and an event win.
Boom.
And then I competed in Norway at the beginning of February. And that was really fun. That was like completely different.
It's an incredible competition, isn't it?
It was amazing.
It looks amazing.
Like,
you're just up on a mountain, aren't you?
Yeah, so it's at a ski resort in the snow, running up like a ski slope. I've never run in snow before. It turns out it's very hard. But yeah, it was a really fun competition, actually. And then that was it, basically. I'd planned to do a couple more, so I'd qualified for the Lowlands, I think, but that got cancelled. And then I was planning on doing the French Throwdown, hopefully, as well, but because I've never done it and everyone says it's the best competition they've ever done. I think it's just really well organised and the venue is meant to be amazing. So I was really looking forward to trying to qualify for that, but obviously that got cancelled as well.
Yes.
So.
It's been a very weird year for CrossFit. And then everything exploded again, because not only were we all in lockdown with coronavirus, but CrossFit imploded in on itself at HQ.
It did indeed.
Like when you're thinking, you're probably already at that point thinking about your next year and you got all these sanctionals you want to do. Like, how did that kind of news hit you?
I think the CrossFit community is so big and so supportive of each other. I think even if HQ were to have collapsed, I think quite quickly everyone would have banded together and done something else. So I was never worried that there weren't going to be any competitions. It was obviously a bit frustrating because at that time we didn't know the Open had been delayed, so we weren't sure if we were working towards an Open in October or not, and it was a bit like, it's nice to have
be
a
able
plan.
to see your year, especially with everything else just like...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a bit like annoying, but there wasn't really anything you could do about it. But I don't think I was ever worried that there wouldn't be any more competitions or anything like that. I think I knew that people would get something together.
But even now, we're looking forward to a season, and we don't know what the season is.
No, we don't know.
So what, I mean, I guess you're working towards the Open as a starting point.
Yeah.
Can you do anything other than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sounding like it's maybe going to be that some of the sanctionals are turned into kind of regionals. And I imagine Sid's obviously really well organised and it's quite a big one, so I would think that they would pick that to be one, but I don't know. So yeah, at the moment just working towards the Open, and then hopefully they'll tell us before that what we're trying to qualify for.
Will it like, a lot of people obviously hold regionals with a really like fond place in their hearts from your like success on the domestic stage in front of a UK crowd. Will Sid hold a similar kind of feeling for you?
Yeah, I mean, especially this year, I just absolutely loved it. Like, it's the best competition I've done. It was so nice. Like, obviously I live half an hour from the venue, so my parents were there, my boyfriend was there, like loads of people from the gym were there. It was like, felt like a home crowd, and I could sleep in my own bed. So it was amazing. And I hope that we get to carry on doing that because, yeah, I loved it as an event.
What would you make of regional? Because I assume you haven't competed in the regional system. So,
Nope.
you know, what do you make of that potentially being what you've got next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will probably make the Open quite stressful because it depends, I guess, how they split the regions. Because the last year of regionals, it was 2017, was it? 2018? 2017?
19, we've only had sanctionals 1920, so it must have been 18.
They made an extra Europe regional, so I think it was better that year. But prior to that, it was extremely difficult to qualify.
It's just so competitive.
Yeah, so obviously I would do everything that I could to qualify, and I hope that I would. But yeah, I think it would make the Open quite stressful, but we'll see.
Are you looking forward to the Open now?
I'm looking forward to it because I haven't competed in a really long time and I want to compete. I mean, I have mixed feelings because I'm not a huge fan of like not in-person competition. Like, I don't really like the whole like filming yourself, like almost like doing qualifiers.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite way of competing. You don't have the crowd, you don't have
a venue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a very different circumstance, isn't it?
But I'm excited to like put myself to the test, see what I can do, see where I rank with everyone else, and and have some like competitive juices flowing.
When you look at the UK scene, like, what do you make of the female competition out there at the moment?
Oh, I think it's amazing, isn't it? Like, yeah, I think there's 10, 15 girls who will all give a really good fight. So I think it's really nice. I think it's exciting that we're all pushing each other, and yeah.
Go on, who do you see as your principal kind of competition?
I think there's loads. I mean, I came 9th last year. So obviously all of the other top 10, like, they're all amazing. I mean, Meg won last year, didn't she? So
she did.
She's the one to beat. But yeah, we'll see. it'll be a good year, I think.
Fingers crossed, and it's just exciting to have the potential of something on the horizon, isn't it? At this stage,
Yeah.
we'll take anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, I mean, I know you're not isolated in this because so many people are in the same position, but trying to run your job and be competitive in this sport, and it's not just that, is it? Like, a lot of people are getting sponsorships and actually have real financial aid, but actually in the UK, it doesn't really seem to be as prevalent, like that kind of aid from big name sponsors so you can just train. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, I don't know anyone, I mean, maybe Sam and Emma, but apart from that, I don't know anyone who is just a full-time athlete. I think everyone else coaches or like does PTs, or even they might coach in PT, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think people are sponsored by like brands who give them equipment and give them clothes and give them like supplements and stuff, but there's not a huge number of brands out there who actually pay salaries. So hopefully as CrossFit becomes bigger and a bit more well known, which I think it is doing, like it's still growing massively, like boxes are opening all over the place. Hopefully that will make people a bit more willing to invest money in athletes and actually start paying salaries so people can just train full time and commit their kind of livelihood to that.
It's an interesting one. I always balance this in my head because you've got CrossFit, which is a brand and kind of decides how much exposure effectively it has. What it means is when it does get a lot of exposure, a lot of brands will want to be associated with said brand. If this was a sport, and UK sport, you'd get funding from the lottery grants and
it makes it difficult.
At the moment, we're in this weird middle road where athletes aren't getting much of either.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because you have the IF3 who are trying to go down the kind of
sport route,
trying to get it into the Olympics and that kind of thing. But I don't know if it's that they don't have the advertising or whatever, but it's just.
It's small scale in comparison
it's small scale.
to
People don't
everything
sign
else.
up for it. I guess there's no prize money, so it's difficult to get people involved. And the thing about CrossFit is like the unknown and the unknowable is like their remit, and that you can't have that in the Olympics. Like the IF3 are having to have these you have 5 set workouts.
Yeah.
This workout has this in it. This one is always endurance, and it's like it kind of takes the CrossFit out of it a little bit, which I don't know if it works so well if it's just the same 5 tests. But we do need that in order to get funding in a sport. So it's a really difficult balance.
Good news though, on the CrossFit side of things, is actually Eric Rosa really looks like he's pushing like the commercial side as much as the health side.
Yeah.
And that was something that obviously started to stutter to a halt. So, I mean, do you see a promising future under our new leader?
Yeah, I think it's really encouraging that he seems to want to push that competitive side. So he's got the games on CBS again, and there's kind of promises of more. He's talking about having additional competitions other than just like for the elite, the games, and there'll be like other competitions that people can be in different categories in. And then there's like the possibility of I think he said that there might be a stage between the Open and the online qualifier for the Masters to get them a bit more involved and more people involved in that. So I think any extra exposure that we can get is going to be a good thing. So I think that's a really positive change, hopefully.
I can't wait. CrossFit on TV all day long, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want it prime time. EastEnders slot. I don't even know when EastEnders is on, actually. I don't watch EastEnders. But it does look like, pending COVID, a really promising next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, like, once they finally announce what it's going to be, whatever it is, I'm going to be excited to try and train for it, qualify for it, whatever it is. Yeah, just get back on that floor.
And me. I can't wait. Obviously not on the competitive side of things, obviously. If people want to find you, look you up, you're back on Instagram, because I know that.
I am.
Where can they find you?
So at Carys Webster is my Instagram. It's having a weird name makes it very easy to find me because I don't have to add any numbers or anything to, yeah. So Instagram's the best place.
And not Welsh, because Carys is a very Welsh name.
My mum is Welsh.
There we go.
So we all have funny names.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and have a chat.
Thank you so much.